The first thing the pilot saw was light, an unnatural, electric blue streak slicing through the black Atlantic like a wound in the sea. On a night with no moon, when the ocean should have been invisible, the water below them glowed as if something massive was moving beneath its surface. What they didn't know yet was that the glow was carving the outline of ships that were supposed to remain hidden. It was the night the sea betrayed a fleet and lit it up in blue fire for anyone watching from above. The Wellington bomber held its course, engines humming, every man on board pressed to the windows. The pilot dipped lower, expecting a trick of the eyes or a reflection from the cockpit glass. Instead, the glow widened into multiple parallel trails curving in perfect formation. These weren't waves, they weren't dolphins, currents, or storms. They were wakes, fast, heavy, and unmistakably mechanical. Down below, an entire flotilla was cutting through bioluminescent water, leaving luminous scars that revealed their movement with stunning clarity. Somewhere inside that light, steel hulls were advancing under the illusion of darkness. One of the crew whispered, "They've no idea we can see them." If you want to support stories like this, make sure to like and subscribe, and keep watching to find out how a living sea exposed a fleet built for silence. In the earliest years of the war, naval commanders trusted the night more than any instrument on their ships. Darkness was considered the most reliable camouflage ever invented. Fleets moved in silence with every lamp extinguished, portholes covered, and orders whispered instead of spoken. Radar existed, but it was young, temperamental, easily deceived by weather, and far from infallible. A flotilla that traveled under a moonless sky was believed to be nearly untouchable. But the ocean has rules of its own, and in certain waters those rules were written in light. Across the world's warmer currents, microscopic organisms, dinoflagellates, drift in invisible clouds beneath the surface. For most sailors, they were little more than a curiosity. Occasionally, the wake of a small boat shimmered with a faint blue shimmer, something to mention in a letter home. Few understood the biology behind it, and even fewer imagined it could affect war. Yet under the right conditions, specific temperatures, densities, and water agitation, these organisms release a bright chemical glow when physically disturbed. Most ships never produce more than a soft glimmer, but a fleet moving at speed generates pressure waves powerful enough to agitate millions of plankton at once. What results is not a shimmer but a blazing trail, a line of light visible for miles. That night, the Allied patrol unknowingly crossed a region where the sea was primed to react. The glowing streak they saw wasn't magic or luck. It was a scientific trigger, waiting to expose anything large that dared pass through it. When the reconnaissance photographs reached the Coastal Intelligence Station, no one knew what to make of them. The first analyst to handle the film thought the camera had malfunctioned. The frames showed long, radiant streaks etched across the ocean surface, clean, parallel, and unmistakably structured. He called in a second analyst, then a third. One by one, they realized the lines were not photographic artifacts. They were wakes, glowing wakes. As they enlarged the images, the formation revealed itself more clearly. The width of each trail suggested sizable hulls, and their spacing matched the disciplined geometry of a fleet traveling under strict navigation orders. But the strangest detail was the brightness. The ocean appeared to be lighting the ships rather than the ships lighting the ocean. To understand it, naval intelligence summoned a young biologist temporarily assigned to work with them, a specialist in marine luminescence. Studying the frames, she explained that the glow came from dinoflagellates reacting to pressure and turbulence. A single ship might create a faint glow, but a fast-moving formation of multiple vessels, that could unleash a display powerful enough to mark their path like a burning signature on the sea. As the analysts traced the curved lines on the map, their calculations revealed something startling. The enemy flotilla was heading toward a critical Allied supply corridor. The glowing sea had drawn an accidental map straight to their destination. Watch to find out how this strange discovery shaped a daring interception. The moment Allied command understood what they were looking at, the tone in the operations room changed. What began as an odd photographic anomaly was now a tactical gift. A naturally illuminated trail pointing directly to an enemy flotilla that believed itself invisible. There was no time to waste. Submarines in the region were ordered to adjust their patrol lanes, threading silently toward the projected path of the glowing wakes. Torpedo bombers were placed on standby in case the fleet attempted to break into open water. The analysts treated the bioluminescent trail like a living form of radar. By measuring the curvature and length of each illuminated wake, they calculated heading, speed, and formation spacing. The science was strange but precise. The brighter the glow, the greater the turbulence. The wider the trail, the heavier the ship. What the enemy believed was perfect darkness had become a blueprint. One submarine commander later described the experience in declassified notes. "We followed the blue ghost," he wrote. "Every faint shimmer on the surface told us they were still ahead of us. The sea itself became our signalman." While the fleet advanced unaware, Allied units closed in with quiet certainty. No intercepted transmissions, no radar pulses, just the soft, pale glow lingering on the waves, like the afterimage of the enemy's every movement. This was warfare guided not by machines, but by microscopic life responding to steel and speed. When contact finally came, it was not the dramatic clash the enemy had prepared for. The flotilla, convinced it had passed undetected through a moonless corridor, was met by Allied submarines positioned with uncanny precision. Torpedoes struck from angles that suggested the attackers knew the fleet's exact formation. Aircraft arrived minutes later, circling above a patch of ocean that had seemed unremarkable until the first explosions lit it in orange. The enemy commander, according to post-war testimony, never understood how his supposedly invisible approach had been compromised. He suspected radar, traitors, even long-range sonar experiments the Allies were rumored to be testing. The truth was never shared with him. It wasn't a machine that had betrayed them, but a sea alive with microscopic organisms reacting to their speed. The glow had lingered long after the ships passed, hanging in the water like an accusation. For the Allies, the success was a turning point. Commanders quietly circulated internal memos warning that bioluminescent waters posed a strategic risk. Before long, entire routes were re-evaluated. Fleets began reducing speed when traveling through regions known for dense plankton blooms. Some naval officers even advocated for biological charts, maps not of currents or depths, but of oceanic light potential. What had once been a sailor's curiosity became a factor in operational planning. Scientists later confirmed that under certain conditions, dinoflagellate concentrations can become so dense that any disturbance, especially from a large hull, triggers a burst of light visible from miles away. The phenomenon was unpredictable but powerful enough to influence wartime decisions. Among officers who served in those waters, the memory of that night became a quiet legend, a reminder that even the most carefully concealed fleet could be revealed not by human error, but by nature itself. Discover how veterans later reflected on this phenomenon. In the years that followed, the men who witnessed the glowing sea would recount it with a mix of disbelief and respect. They described it not as a trick of light, but as a moment when the ocean itself intervened. What should have been a flawless night passage, a fleet hidden by darkness, silence, and discipline, became a luminous display written by creatures too small to be seen with the naked eye. It was a reminder that war does not unfold only between armies, machines, and strategies. Sometimes, nature steps in as an unexpected participant. Historians later noted that this single event encouraged new research into biological visibility at sea, prompting naval planners to consider how temperature, turbulence, and microscopic life could expose even the best-prepared formations. Modern fleets still monitor regions rich in bioluminescent organisms, not out of superstition, but because the science remains as relevant as ever. A ship cutting through the wrong water on the wrong night may still leave a glowing trail behind it. For the pilots who first saw the ocean burning with blue fire, the image never faded. It was beauty and danger intertwined, an otherworldly light revealing something meant to stay in the dark. They understood then that the sea keeps its own counsel and offers no guarantees, even to the careful. In the end, what exposed the fleet was not a new invention or a clever codebreaker. It was the natural world reacting as it always had. And on that night, the ocean chose to reveal the truth.